Hey you guys, it's me, and yes, my voice still sounds terrible. I don't know what's going on. I can't seem to get rid of this cough that I have, but in any case, I wanted to film my reading wrap up for February because I feel like it. And also, as you can see, I got my bookshelves up and I love them. So in February, I read 16 stories. This included 5 Dr. Seuss books, 3 graphic novels, 1 fantasy anthology, 4 nonfiction books, and 3 YA paranormals. I'm not going to go get the Dr. Seuss books off the shelf because they're kind of hard to get to. And I just put them up, and I don't feel like taking them back out, and I didn't think about it before I put them up. But the Dr. Seuss books that I read are The Lorax, Oh, the Places You'll Go, Happy Birthday to You, Yertle the Turtle and Other Stories, and The Sneetches and Other Stories. It's Dr. Seuss. It's always a good time with Dr. Seuss. So the nonfiction books I read were Start and Quitter by Jon Acuff, Business Boutique by Christy Wright, and Love Your Life, Not Theirs by Rachel Cruz. I talked more in depth about everything that I've read on my blog, and I will put a link to that below if you're interested in seeing my thoughts about everything I read. But for the purpose of this video not being super long, I'm just gonna just quickly go through the nonfiction books. So Quitter and Start are kind of like career-oriented books, and then Business Boutique is also kind of like a career-oriented book for like women who like want to start their own business. And Love Your Life, Not Theirs is a finance book by Dave Ramsey's daughter. I was not expecting it to be the kind of finance book that it is. I thought it was going to be more like here's how you save money on furniture, and you know, here's what comparing yourself to other people does to your finances, and here's how to do a budget, and here's how to rock your budget. And it was really more like a play-by-play of Dave Ramsey's 7 Baby Steps, only she did kind of like her own kind of 7 Baby Steps, talking about the same things that her dad talks about, just with emphasis on like different things. And I really didn't like this book, but I liked all the other nonfiction books that I read. I read way too much nonfiction this month, and my brain was kind of like, no more nonfiction for a while. So the graphic novels I read are Sailor Moon Volume 2, Monsters Volume 2, and Giant Days Volume 6. Of course, I love Sailor Moon. It was fantastic. So this is turning out to be a lot different than the anime, and I absolutely love the anime, and I'm absolutely loving this, and like all the differences. It's new for me, and it's unexpected, and it's still very, very good. So I'm really like loving reading this manga, like finally. And also quickly about Giant Days, I still think these are fun. I'm still having a good time reading them. And I'm still really loving this artwork. It's still so good. So about Monstrous, I'm pretty sure I'm not going to keep reading this. There's a small part of me that's curious about where it's going and how it's going to end, and sometimes that's enough to keep me reading. This case, I'm not sure. The story opens up with her eating like a coyote heart or something, and I don't know. The main character is she's just so unlikable. Like, I like the little fox girl. I think her name is Kippa. And the thing is, like, I don't mind like bloodshed and stuff, but for some reason the violence and bloodshed in this book, like, I'm not happy about it. Like, every time I see it, I'm like cringing and like wishing that I was reading something else. So I don't think I'm gonna keep reading these, but they are interesting, and the artwork is very beautiful. I don't like the story. So the last 3 books I read this month are Where Silence Gathers by Kelsey Sutton, How to Hang a Witch by Adriana Mather, and The Hollow Girl by Hilary Monahan. I honestly had some issues with all of these books, but the one I had the least issue with is Where Silence Gathers. So Where Silence Gathers is a companion story to Some Quiet Place, which is one of my favorite books. And in the book, the main character, Alexandra, she can see emotions as people. And so anyway, so the premise of Where Silence Gathers is the girl is struggling between forgiving the drunk driver who killed her parents and her little baby brother and getting revenge. Throughout the entire story, like, I thought we would get to the halfway point in the story and she would stop being so angry, and she would make a decision and she would move on, and then we could deal with, you know, this phantom voice that she's hearing whispering her name at night, which was super creepy. kind of unfortunately for me, for 350 pages, she was angry and she was mad and she was self-destructing and she was ruining her life and she was being super irresponsible. And I just wanted her to stop being angry, and I just wanted her to like heal. And I listened to this on the audiobook, and at first I didn't think I was going to like it because I didn't really like the voices that the narrator was using for revenge. It was very distracting, but I did get used to it, and I absolutely love Kelsey's writing. Like, it's so beautiful, and it's immersive, and it's emotional, and, like, I can see what Alex is seeing, and I can feel what she's feeling, and I can smell what she's smelling, and it's so vivid, and I absolutely love that about this book. And I still ended up giving it 4 stars just because, you know, like, the world was so real, and it was so rich for me, and not every book, you know, like, does that, and I really enjoyed listening to the book. Like, I couldn't wait to like get in the car and like listen to some more of the book, and finally I just got to the point where I just, you know, laid down on the couch and like listened to like the last hour of the book because I wanted to know like how it was going to end. So next I finally finished How to Hang a Witch. So a little bit of background, I picked this book up in August, and then I put it down like sometime in October because it started getting on my nerves. So the first like 30-40% of this book, like even though it was like super tropey and super cliche, like I really like loved the book. Like I was enjoying the atmosphere. You know, it was creepy and it was mysterious, but then, you know, the love triangle started seeping in, and so there's this love triangle between this ghost guy and her neighbor, and I hated it. The only reason why I picked the book back up is because I really wanted to know what happened, and I really wanted to finish it. So the things that I liked about this book was that I loved the concept. Like, I love like the idea behind the story, and the story was very interesting. Like, even after started getting on my nerves, like I was still very interested in figuring out what was going to happen and where the story was going. So yeah, so I thought the pacing was good and the atmosphere was good, and it was a really fun story for about, you know, 30-40%. So one of the first things that bothered me outside of the love triangle between the ghost and the neighbor was the way the ghost spoke. Like, he had a very formal speech patterns, and like he didn't use contractions at all. And it's actually kind of a misconception that people didn't speak in contractions like back in more olden times, but they did. And if you pick up writing from that time, there are contractions in there everywhere, because people speak in contractions. They spoke in contractions in Shakespeare's time. They spoke in contractions 50 years ago. We speak in contractions now, and that was really distracting because it makes sometimes when he's talking, it feels like jerky, and it's really annoying. And so, speaking of the neighbor boy, another thing that really bothered me was that, like, I don't understand why he liked her. It's like, why? She's not interesting. She's mean to you. She keeps pushing you away. She has googly feelings for this ghost. Like, it was so annoying, and it was not believable. It's like he liked her because the author wanted him to like her. You know, because she wanted a stupid love triangle. Like, I would have been perfectly fine with her having googly feelings for the ghost and have the ghost, you know, go on to the other side or whatever happened at the end. Like, I would have been perfectly fine with that. Like, you don't have to have the stupid manufactured thing. And the neighbor boy barely did anything anyway in the story. Like, he didn't add to the story at all, which makes him pointless, essentially. You could take him out and, like, the story would not be any different at all. And so the book I enjoyed the least this month was The Hollow Girl. So some more background information about this. I picked this book up in October, and I started reading it, and I got about, I don't know, 5 chapters in, and I couldn't stand it. Like, this is the first book I regret picking up, I think, since 1998. Even though I'll probably never actually read City of Bones, like, I don't regret buying City of Bones. Like, I have it on my bookshelf. I like looking at it. Like, I legit cannot think of anything that I've regretted buying since 1998. Until this book. And at one point, if I had a fireplace, I would have thrown this book in it. As it stands, I don't have a fireplace. Then I was going to throw it away. And then, like, as soon as I made that decision, I was like, you know what? This book really isn't that long. There's a very small part of me that wants to know, like, what's going to happen. Okay, so basically the premise of the book is this Romani girl and her friend get beat up. Her friend is near death, and in order to save him, she has to harvest body parts from their attackers. And it sounds great, like I mentioned on my blog. And I'm thinking, how do you mess that up? So the only thing I liked about the book was, you know, like the last 100 pages where the main character is going around harvesting body parts. Like, it was bloody and it was violent, like the kind I like. And the problem with those scenes, though, is that the main character, she was so annoying. She was so annoying. So this is what happens in the book. And I don't think it's a spoiler because I went into the book knowing this. And also, she mentions it in the author note, which I shouldn't have read because it made me not like the author, but that's another story. So anyway, the girl's going to market, she's talking stuff, and she meets this guy there. He's like a farmer, and so he likes her for some reason. Some hoodlums, you know, from her little Romani caravan, they beat the guy almost to death. She gets dragged to the field and raped by this guy. And I don't have a problem with books that have rape in them, you know, unless the rape is unnecessary. And in this book, I just felt like it was unnecessary. I felt like the author raped the character so that we would want her to go after these guys and, you know, be cutting body parts off. But I'm thinking, for me personally, all it would have taken was them beating up her friend within an inch of his life, literally, is enough justification for me for her to go and harvest the body parts to bring him back. It was a very, very violent rape. And also, in the author's note, the author said it happened off screen. I don't think she knows what off screen is, because that was not off screen to me. I didn't feel like it was necessary, and I felt like it was just there. I just felt like the author was trying to manipulate me. That always puts me in a bad mood. Like, I don't like being manipulated. I'm like, just tell me a good story and let the story stand for itself. Like, don't try to make me feel something, which I didn't because I was mad. So the other problems I have with the book, the main character, Bethane, she was flat, she was annoying, she was rude, she was condescending, she was a hypocrite, she was self-righteous. Like, I don't have a problem with a main character who's a liar and a thief. Just be upfront about it. Like, don't, you know, justify your lying and thieving because you're lying and thieving to people who aren't Romani, so that makes it okay? Because everybody who's not Romani is scum, according to the main character. And I took issue with that. So now I don't want to read anything that this author has written because now I don't like her. Another problem I have with the story is I have no idea what the time period is. I don't know if we're in the 1800s, if we're in the 1600s, if it was yesterday. And I really think that would have helped. Like, everything just felt very contrived and forced and fake. And it's like none of the characters had any depth at all. Like the hoodlums, there was no reason why they were acting that way. You know, it's like he was just being violent because the author wanted him to be violent, and the farmer was being nice to her because the author wanted someone to be nice to her. Like no one had any range or any real personality at all. So one of the reasons I did want to go ahead and you know, do my reading wrap up is because I'm running some errands the day after I film this video tomorrow, and I'm getting rid of this book because I want it out of my house because I never want to see it again, because that's how mad I am at this book. In any case, I do still think I had a great month of reading, and I did have more time to read this month because I was under the weather, and so it's very unlikely I will have read this many books next month or any other month this year. But in any case, let me know if you've read any of these books and what you thought of them. And that is all for this video. And I will see you guys in another video soon. Bye.